Hello, welcome to our session. We are Aaron Griffin and Solomon Griffin using his mom's computer. That's why it says Karen Griffin. We are the Prosperity Educators LLC. I am the co-founder and chief executive officer. Solomon is our operations intern. He is my oldest son, 14 years old. So our session that we have for you for the Educating Children of Color Summit, and first and foremost, we're very excited to be joining once again. I presented at this conference multiple times, so I'm very excited to be here again. This session is Conversations at the Dinner Table, conversations about race and racism with your parents and school. So welcome, students. So as a part of Prosperity Educators LLC, our two interns, once again, our operations intern is Solomon. We call him Sollywood. He is a musician, an artist, and entertainer. And then we have our youngest son, Langston LJ, who is our administrative intern. He is a gamer and plays football. So our session framing, we're going to jump into is where have we been? So the picture you see on your right is from March, April, and May. That was COVID-19. And the protest that came out about the mask, anti-mask, restaurants closing, businesses closing, people going back to work, some people not going back to work. And then in the summer, which was April, May, June, and July, and the first parts of August, we had the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, so that's where we've been, and that's still going on, so that's where we're going. And then last Wednesday, we had the terrorist attack and insurrection on the nation's capital, and we had individuals, insurrectionists, burst through police barricades and get into our nation's capital. Okay, so this session is important right now because there are conversations that are happening in some of our homes and some of our schools, and then there are conversations not happening. So the goal of this session is to equip you with the ability to engage your parents and your teachers of school in these conversations. So I'm going to pause so you can read this quote on your own. I'm going to pause for 20 seconds. So as I pause, I want you to think about that reality. Black children are old enough, Hispanic children are old enough, pretty much any Black, Indigenous person of color is old enough as children to experience racism. So this wonderful individual on Twitter said, then white children should be old enough to learn about it. So again, if we have any white children in this session, that's very important because this is about you too. We have to be able to engage. I took my video off because it looked like my video was getting a little grainy and glitchy, so I went on and took it off. So now I'm going to turn it over to Solomon to lead us the rest of the way.
Hi, I'm Solomon. I'm 14. I'm in 8th grade. I play cello in the orchestra class at school, and performing is my heart. I love performing. My dad and my mom, we always have conversations at the dinner table, just so we can be together, and we'll have conversations and be vulnerable. But we can talk about racism, or we can talk about an experience we had at school and share and be together. So yeah. And this is my brother right here. He's in 4th grade. He likes to play football and basketball. So for today's section objective, we want students and guests to be able to talk to their parents and children about race and other forms of oppression. Um, yeah, and develop conversation starters with the family. Part one, starting the conversation. How do we talk to our parents about race and other forms of oppression? One, talk the how do I we off, take the how do I we off the question. Um, we need to talk to our parents about race and other forms of oppression and just talk to them. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no specific way to talk about it. There's no, okay, I'm ready, because if you're comfortable, then it's not really a courageous conversation. And yeah. And if you don't like go and talk to your parents, there's just they're not gonna know to talk to you about it. Um, why courageous conversations? Um, we should engage in conversations to unpack difficulties with parents and teachers and school leaders, maybe like other students, to help our parents work with you through biases as the result of cultural conflicts. So, and then share your experiences as students and provide a safe space free of risk, judgments, and criticism. Um, so when having courageous conversations, always remember these four things. So one, lean into discomfort. You're not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be easy to talk about things like race and gender. Stay engaged. It's really easy just to get lost in thought or to zone out when you're nervous or when you're uncomfortable. So it's really important to stay engaged, speak your truth. Um, Sometimes you might say things you might feel like other people are going to judge you for this, but you should say what's in your head, how you feel, without worrying about what other people think or what other people want you to say, what you think others want you to say. And finally, expect and accept non-closure. When having courageous conversations, you're not always going to have an answer by the end. And you should expect not to have a singular answer, because there's no way to have a singular answer. Um, so when leaning into discomfort, we need to like think about what's causing the discomfort. Um, if it's comfortable, it's not courageous. Allow for the anger and other emotions to surface. When staying engaged, you need to focus on the speaker or the person in the conversation. Remain in the tension. Don't excuse yourself from the moment, and just take time to hold conversation. You know, if you're having a conversation between three people, one person might be talking, you can be quiet and just listen. And when it's your turn, they will be quiet and listen to you. For speak your truth, use I statements. You know, you say you feel this way and what you felt. You don't dismiss others. It's very important to respect others' truth, especially since we know that our truths will differ from each other. And finally, accept and expect non-closure. You won't leave with an answer. There's no quick fixes to anything. And there might be more questions after a conversation. So you have to continue the dialogue and work on your own. Part 2, conversations in practice. So DYAD, constructivist listening. Partners engage in a 4-minute conversation. Each has 2 minutes to speak to the question, not respond to each other. We would do this, but this is online. So, but yeah, when having a conversation between the two people, the key is to listen without interrupting, without sound. Nods are okay, smiles are okay, but it's important to let them finish their thoughts, give them space. Sit quiet until the time is up and then the next person goes. Once both have gone, then discuss how it felt to engage in the conversation, not the answers. Constructive listening. To practice, use this prompt with your sibling, neighbor, friends, or whoever. For 30 seconds, think about what you love about your parents. And then after the 30 seconds, share why with your partner. And each of you has 2 minutes to share why. Part 3, conversations on race. When having conversations on race, it's good to start with a prompt. So this one right here, not speaking the truth reinforces racism. It allows us to believe it's our normal, by Tiffany Jewell. So we have this prompt. We could take 2 minutes to write down how this quote resonates within you. Take 2 minutes to write down how this quote speaks to you, and take 1 minute to choose 3 words and what you want to learn more about. So normally we would just have this and do it together, but this is online, so you can just take a few minutes to think right now. DYAD constructivist listening. Partners engage in a 4-minute conversation. Each has 2 minutes to speak and questions, not respond to each other. So we're going to talk about this quote. And then we're going to do some more constructivist listening. Take 30 seconds to think about when your race may have been used against you. How did it make you feel? All right, now share why with your partner, and each of you have 2 minutes each, with one person being quiet and listening and the other person talking. And then now we're going to take 30 seconds to think about when you use race against someone and how did it make you feel? All right, now we're going to share about how it made you feel with your partner. Same as last time, you each have 2 minutes to talk uninterrupted. All right, part 4, confronting difficult conversations.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you, Solomon.
So the prompts that
So the
Solomon
prompts that
just read to
Solomon
you
just
and
read.
shared with you, these are prompts. Thankfully, this is going to be recorded. So these are prompts that you can definitely, you can rewind, come back to them. But the goal is for you to take the 30 seconds and then you can practice with a friend before you start having these conversations with your parents and even engaging with these and with some of your classmates at school. So this is an example of conversations at our dinner table. One day, Solomon came home upset when he was in elementary back in Colorado Springs. I used to be the principal at Sierra High School. But back when we lived in Colorado Springs, we now live in the greater Denver area. Solomon came home upset because some of the other students had been complaining to the choir teacher and complaining to him that he got to be Uncle Sam in the musical. I asked him, what are they complaining about? And he said, they're complaining that he got the lead part because Uncle Sam is white. Another time, Solomon came home very excited when he was in middle school. He's still in middle school, back when he was in 7th grade, I believe. He had won the lead role in Annie, the musical, the lead, which means that he was going to play Annie, a historically white female character. So when Solomon came home upset about Uncle Sam, he didn't understand why people were upset. So I literally had to just go straight to it. Remember, Solomon said, take the how-to off. We take the how-to off. So Solomon didn't have to ask, how do I talk to my dad about a racial issue? He just came to talk to me. And that's what we're telling you as students, just go talk to your parents. So I introduced Solomon to what Uncle Sam stands for and how the character is designed after white men, which historically made up the military when that caricature was developed. So remember, there was a time when it was only men fighting the battles in the military. Women went into the military, but they didn't actually fight. So it was Uncle Sam Need You or Want You was the poster. I remember that back when I was a little boy in the 80s as well. I explained to Solomon that's why some of the students were having issues because they'd never seen anyone but a white man characterized as Uncle Sam. Secondly, when Solomon came home excited about Annie, we had a conversation where I explained to Solomon the ridicule he would face from peers and possible backlash from the audience. But I left it up to him to decide. I explained to him that you're an African American male in a time with a lot of racial tension, and you're going to step on stage in the predominantly white community playing a white female character. So I left it up to him to make the decision. He decided that wasn't for him. So I had a conversation with his teacher explaining the situation that they had unintentionally put Solomon in. I understand they wanted to support him. The boy can sing, the boy can dance, the boy can act. I understand that. However, we are at a racial tension in this country, and having a black boy play a white character is not the best thing to do for a teenager, not prepared to deal with the backlash. So now that you've learned about the conversations, this is what the conversations help you do. They help you overcome implicit bias. So the way you overcome implicit bias is intentionally get to know others of difference. Before we can start to engage in these conversations, we have to get to know each other. We have to learn about others and their community, recognize how your values impact the world you see, okay, and how you see the world, and identify ways you can create space for culturally and socially diverse individuals to get to know you. Because how do we have conversations about this? You have to be open to get to know people to knock down those biases and those barriers we have that cause us to judge people unfairly. And then we have our explicit bias. This first one, the implicit bias, is the one we don't know about. This is the one we do know about. And as you see the quote on the side, it says, we are only as blind as we want to be. So we have to intentionally get to know others' story. Solomon talked about speaking your truth. You have to allow people to speak their truth using those I statements. Allow them to tell you. Intentionally get to know the community history you live in. Do your research. You may have been born in your community. You may have moved to this community. Get to know your community so you can understand the tensions and the nuances going on. Recognize how your biases impact how you live each day and call out your biases. Like, are you judging other people? Do you have certain beliefs about different people? Do they have beliefs about you? That's the only way you're going to be able to get through these biases and really dive into these conversations. The more you can address these, the easier the conversations will be. However, the conversations will still be uncomfortable. And see me. In other words, see everybody. and stop mindfully biasing others. When you know better, do better. When you know better, do better. So at this time, we're going to pause and I'm going to ask everyone to close your eyes. I know I can't see you, but I need you to close your eyes. It's very important that you close your eyes for this next activity. Everybody's eyes closed? Okay, good. Even if you're by yourself, close your eyes. So notice the colors you see with your eyes closed. Depending on the light in the room, you may see black, some may see gray, some may see red, some may see blue, green, yellow, tan. There are multiple colors you see with your eyes closed. Open them. It's interesting that we see colors with our eyes closed, but when our eyes open, we say we don't see color. That's not possible for people to say they don't see color. They choose not to see color because some of us have the privilege to deny others color. Some of us embrace their privilege to not see color. Some of us have the privilege to deny our own color, and some of us embrace our privilege to not see our own color. And when we don't see color, the conversations on race are much more difficult because that means we're not acknowledging someone else's lived experience as a colored person in the United States of America, as a person of color, as a person who has been minoritized and marginalized. So again, take 30 seconds to think about a time you have experienced a bias or have biased someone else. Okay, and then here's a part where you pause again, as Solomon had you do, you pause. And if you're working with someone, you go ahead and both of you partners have 2 minutes each to respond to this and share with them a time you have been biased or have biased someone else. So you can pause the video and you can go ahead and practice that now. If no one's with you right now, then later on you can always return to this folder, I'm hoping, with the ECOC, Educating Children of Color Summit, and you can practice that, or you can pause the video, take a picture, write it down. That way you know that you can practice this later. And here's another one that you can practice as well. Think about a time you have experienced feelings of invisibility, where you don't feel seen, or may have contributed to another's invisibility, where you have done something to make that person not feel seen. We're going to pause for 30 seconds again. Okay, and then here's an opportunity for you to pause the video. If you're with someone watching this at the same time, then the two of you, or even the three of you can go, or four of you can take 2 minutes each and just have a conversation real quick. So here's another prompt you can use as well. So know that you can use these prompts to have these conversations with your parents, or you can change these prompts. You can say something like, think about a time you were ignored, or think about a time you felt good about something. This is a way you practice these conversations. So when you sit down and say, mom, dad, grandma, auntie, whomever, I want to talk to you about what happened at the nation's capital. Can you tell me how you felt? Please take 2 minutes just to tell me how you felt while I listen. And then you can tell them how you felt while they listen. The goal is not to get to a solution. The goal is for you to share how you're feeling. So one last activity I have for you. You can use this on a note card. You can use this, it says note card. You can use it on a sheet of paper where you go up and down and you take your name. My name is Aaron, and I would write Aaron straight up and down vertically on the note card or on a sheet of paper. And what you do, this is called the power of I am. And for each letter of your name, you will write a positive word. So for Aaron, it would be awesome, amazing, resilient, opportunistic, and nice. Those would be my 5 words. And then I would speak to myself and say, I am amazing. I am awesome. I am resilient. I am opportunistic. I am nice. And I would hold that card, and I'm telling you to do this activity for yourself. And every morning when you wake up, say that to yourself. But if you have a partner with you, it'd be great to turn around to a partner or stand up in a small group and share your power and say it boldly. I am. And you go through the positive words next to your name. You are to state a letter of your name positive with I am. And the reason why you do this activity is because, as the note says, I am, 2 most powerful words for what you put after them shapes your reality. This all translates into why you are important, how you see yourself, and how you teach others to see you and to value you. This will develop your confidence as you have these difficult conversations with your parents and or your teachers or individuals at your school. So here are 4 questions all students need to answer when you're engaging in these conversations in the school environment. What makes my class at school meaningful for me? I'm sorry, there's a typo, should have said me. What would I want a different, why would I want a different teacher or school? What gaps exist between what is being taught and what I am learning about race and other forms of oppression? Meaning, is your school or is your teacher intentionally engaging or not engaging in these conversations? And why are there gaps? And what I'm learning about race and other forms and what I'm being taught. And what will I do to fill them? How will I help my teachers and my parents fill those gaps? And final solutions. Children learn about themselves as they see themselves reflecting in the school, in their home, and as change agents of their experience. Treat children as multidimensional and reflect the complexity of your child's interactions, relationships, and enhances self-concept. So this is something I'm sharing with your parents in my other session when I'm leading a session for your parents on the same thing. So I just wanted to share that with you because these are things I'm going to ask parents to do for you, and you should help your parents do this as well. So as you look at these bullets, I'm going to pause for 10 seconds. What does this look like in your home when these things are happening? And if it's not happening, what can you do to help your parents get there for you? So I'm going to pause for 10 seconds. Alrighty, that concludes our session today. I know it was pretty quick, but if you and or your parents or someone from your school wants to reach out to us, Solomon and myself, to come have a conversation with your class or whomever, our website is www.prosperityeducators.com. Our email is prosperityeducators@gmail.com, and that is our phone number, 970-364-0326. And also there's my personal website as well, www.draaronjgriffen.com. In this picture to the left, that's me. Picture to the right, that's Mom, when she was presenting at the Educating Children of Color Conference about 3 years ago. So again, we thank you for your time. We hope this has been beneficial for you. Please share this page with your parents and with your school. Let them know that my book is out, Challenges to Integrating Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Programs in Schools. Our Prosperity Journal is out. It's a 4-in-1 journal for to-do lists, wins, ideas, and self-reflection. And then my other first book is out. It's a spiritual journey on a different view. So we thank you, appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Martin Luther King Day weekend. Thank you.